down his lights. It's hilarious, man. All of a sudden, it's Sidebar After Dark.
Sidebar After Dark.
It should be on my side.
Presentation of the courtroom files.
Oh, you're totally going to have to do that for me now.
Okay.
New episodes every Tuesdays, Thursdays.
4, 3, 2, 1. Oh, golly geez. Who should we call on first? Ashley.
Yes.
If you are a prosecutor and it is your job to prosecute the case of an adult who's been behaving badly with somebody who's not an adult, do you A, try to nail them to the wall, B, go crazy easy on them, or C, try to find some kind of balance between justice and mercy and what the victim might want?
I want to go with C.
Balance. Okay. Or was C go? No, C was balance. Okay, yeah. But is the answer really C this time?
That's what we're going to be talking about tonight.
Exactly. So welcome everybody to Sidebar. We've got Ashley and Bailey and Michael and myself. That is my official name is myself. Because you didn't like it when I called me the other day, so I changed my name to myself.
All right.
If that doesn't work, just call yourself I.
Or I. Yeah, that would work too. I'll relabel myself in a minute to me or I or something. So we've been seeing a lot of cases here on the channel lately, just in the regular videos, plus on the live show, where we've had adults who have been behaving badly when it comes to children. And yes, that's code for something because we have to watch our language just a little bit on YouTube, but we think you guys all get the idea of what we're talking about. But one of the things that we have, I think, universally agreed upon is that not only are some of the cases ridiculous, but so is some of the punishment that's being handed out and some of the deals that are made and all of that. So I think that's the overarching theme for the discussion today. And let's just kind of see where it goes. Yeah, guys?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's dig
Bailey usually kicks us off, but his notes are crazy. So I think we need to give him a little bit of direction. So, Michael, where would you like to start us today, Michael?
Well, to me, this is a puzzle piece of a much broader conversation. And what we're talking about here, at least where this stemmed, is from a Judge Boyd case that we were watching yesterday. And there was a guy that was, I believe he's 57 years old, and he's in poor health, which is important because it comes up as part of his defense, amazingly enough. Not surprising. But I guess he is accused of, some inappropriate stuff with people that are not adults. And his defense, well, he wants to take accountability, so he says. And he's taking accountability, and yet he has a bunch of people that are coming forward and kind of softening the blow of the accountability, which, is kind of normal in these cases. But then his attorney comes up, and again, zealous defense. I get it. I understand it. But oh boy, this guy basically says that his health is he shouldn't be going to prison because his health is ailing. It wouldn't serve the public or the community well. It doesn't really, it's not in the interest of justice, and a bunch of other rigmarole that's pretty much offshoots of that. And it was frustrating to watch this. And all I could think about was other cases that are similar to this. Remember the case of Deborah LaFave from the Tampa area about 21 years ago. She was a teacher that, did stuff with a student, extracurricular activities in a car, among other places, and she, when she got busted, her attorney actually used the argument of she's too pretty to go to prison.
I remember that one.
Yes. And this was, and this was, you know, there's been other ones of late, other teachers that, you know, they've tried the defense of, well, he made me do it. And actually he started it. And again, these are real defenses that are used, and they're very frustrating. And I think that's the part of the case that is just absolutely mind-bending to me. And I get that we should, you know, be allowed to present a defense, but I will say Judge Boyd pretty much shot that down.
She did,
and did not accept that as a defense, because basically the bottom line is, well, his health, how long has it been ailing? And obviously he's got arthritis, and he's got this, and he's got that, and you know, he's got the mumps and the measles and the rubella and all, and whatever else he has. But clearly all of those health ailments didn't stop him from trying to pursue. In this case, what happened was he didn't actually engage in the bad behavior. He was online attempting to hook up. And I know we all have different thoughts on that, and how bad of a crime that is, because you're not actually harming somebody. And, you know, there's been a lot of legal cases that have been dismissed because of that. We all remember To Catch a Predator, and some of those people never actually wound up doing any time. So I know this is a little bit more of a marginal or a fringe case, and he's not like as bad as some of the other ones that we see. But to me, you still got to do some time for it, because the intention was there. And I think a big part for me of crime is intent. And
If I'm not mistaken, Michael,
yeah.
if I'm not mistaken, didn't he actually show up to the house and that's where they busted him?
So yes, he not only did he make the arrangements, but then he went to the place. And just like To Catch, I mean, just like you expect Chris Hansen to be there. Why don't you have a seat over there, please?
Yeah. What are you doing with this pizza?
Would you like a slice?
It turned out to be an undercover cop, and
right.
That's how.
And I know they always argue entrapment, which actually he didn't really argue entrapment so much, which I thought was interesting, because that's about the only defense that ever has worked in these cases. The I'm too sick, or oh, my arthritis, or oh, my ovaries, or whatever the claim is, it never works. The
old oh, my ovaries defense.
Yeah, I got a case of the Mondays. I mean, that's never worked, but the entrapment one is about the only one that's ever had any success, and even that's pretty low. But very interesting. And then. One other thing just before, Bailey, is just that the one thing that I hate about these cases, and this is just a personal thing, but man, do I hate when people go up there and say, well, he's not a bad guy. I think we were just talking before the show about things that get your blood pressure going and talking politics. Probably the thing that gets me the most is when you have these cases and someone goes, hey, man, but Your Honor, he's really not a bad guy. Oh God! Oh, I cringe. Like right now, I got goosebumps on my arm just hearing it. Anyway,
actions speak louder than words in that case. Yes.
I think what caught everyone's attention immediately, at least mine, was the defense spent a really lengthy amount of time talking about his health issues. I mean, to the point where it's like, I understand what he's trying to do. He has to make an argument. And Judge Boyd certainly understands what he's doing, because she used to be a defense attorney, and she understands what the state is doing. She used to be a prosecutor.
Yep.
But he spent, as far as strategy in my mind, too much time on the health thing. And we also know Judge Boyd kind of did her homework probably the night before, and she's already has a number in her head. And but I genuinely believe she'll listen to the argument, but it got to the point where okay, counselor, I understand you're making a zealous argument, but judges are human, and everybody in that courtroom listening, um, they're human too, and it almost becomes a little insulting. It's
Yeah.
almost like, really, you're going to use MS as like a mitigating factor on this, and I understand that, but wrap it up. That's what was offensive to me, was the
I,
length of time he spent on the health issues and trying to justify.
Yeah.
I think it was house
I
arrest,
I
right?
agree with that, Bailey. I definitely think that MS and rheumatoid arthritis is what he stated. I don't think that
Right.
belongs.
Like he can't
I mean, the
run out of the house because he's so busted. It's
I
almost.
mean, it didn't
I
have any
understand, make
bearing
your
on
record,
it.
but it's insulting. It's
It
almost
didn't have any
insulting.
bearing on the case, in my opinion. It was
Yeah.
he got out of the house, he went to the location. How does this have to do with MS and rheumatoid arthritis, except for just feeling sorry for the guy because he's going to be put in prison for it? And that's what the defense was arguing there. And I
I'd
just
say
don't
his
agree with
his
it.
arthritis certainly didn't seem to stop him from going to the house.
Exactly.
Well,
Exactly.
here's the thing with a lot of these people who are meeting people online. And at some point here today, we can talk about the people who aren't meeting online, because we've
Yeah.
had a couple of cases of that too. But the ones who are meeting people online, or at least who are trying to meet these children, they're broken almost all the time. I've mentioned to you guys that in another YouTube version of Dan, I spent quite a bit of time getting to know one of the civilians who does predator catching. And he and I talked for hours, and I did an interview with him too. And we actually talked about, and I was trying to remember the details of this earlier today, and I think I recall most of them now, but we were talking about how all of these people that he encounters, just they all have these ailments or these things going on, and he's like, it's almost universal, and he's never figured out exactly why it is. But when the guy got up there and he's like, yeah, I've got MS and I've got all of this stuff going on, and in the back of my head I'm like, it tracks. Now, I'm not saying that everybody who has some kind of ailment like that will act out like this. Obviously that's
Right.
not the case.
Yeah.
But the two things go hand in hand, and I don't understand why. I don't know if it's just they've
Coping.
got this extra time on their hands because they're just dealing with the situation, and
Maybe.
it leads their brains into
Mhm.
bad places, or what. But it's
Could
very
be.
rare for this gentleman anyways that he would encounter somebody who didn't have an issue.
Well, on TCF Live, you said it best, Dan. You said it seems to be a feature, not a bug.
Yeah,
You
that's
know,
totally a feature.
Yeah. And I think that sums it up. And yeah, people that have too much time on their hands, idle hands, devil's work or something. I don't know. But it's, and again, just because you're ill doesn't mean you're going to sit home and go, wonder what the children are up to today. But there are people that may have had a propensity to lean that way, but were too busy in their life just trying to survive, maybe didn't. But now suddenly they're at home, and the mind starts to do what the mind starts to do, which I've never been able to understand the mind of those people, but there it is. And that's what winds up happening. And I'll tell you what, too, I'm okay with the defense of, hey, someone's sick as a mitigating factor if they're being charged with something like, I don't know, theft or some, I don't know, some lesser non-violent crime like, possession of marijuana, possession of cocaine, something like, I'm like, okay, listen, man, dude's got MS or dude's terminal or something. I'm like, hey, listen, man, whatever, go ahead, enjoy your coke, see ya. But if you're, but this is one crime where I have zero sympathy at all. I don't care. I don't care about your creepy crawly crud that's inside you. I say you deal with it in prison.
And we've been talking about that before, Michael, about how crimes, like, I think we were talking about one case where someone was extremely ill, and it does come up it depends on the crime and what was committed for sure. I think, and that would deal with that mitigating factor type of thing.
Right. For sure.
That's why the defense was arguing. In the defense's defense, I understand where he's getting to, because there's nothing else he can argue in behalf of his client too.
Yeah.
Again, go for the entrapment. I mean, that's the only card you got. Play it. I mean, the worst that can happen is judge just goes no. But this one, judge went no, and you're an idiot. I mean, basically, Judge Boyd she was just like, okay, you got anything else? I mean, look, I got a lot of cases to get to today. I was thinking of Judge Judy, like, I'm giving you 30 seconds and I got to go to lunch. Like, come on, show me the receipt. So I was like, okay, come on, Judge Boyd, let's hammer this out.
The thing is, like, what I found interesting was the state brought this up. So the defense makes a zealous argument, right? The first thing that the state says was, look, we understand that the defendant now appearing at sentencing is remorseful and, is all this and this. But guess what? During the PSI, the pre-sentencing investigation,
right,
which is because he was on probation prior to sentencing,
right,
you have to interview with your probation officer, and they basically get a holistic view of like what's going on, get a picture of you. And what he tells his probation officer was basically, I got set up. And
so he tried to play there in the PSI, which
right, he's like, so in other words, he's not taking accountability for this. And then he also said he never did anything, which is correct, but he's, that's his mindset. And so the first thing the state came out on the bat was like, Judge, I understand he just said all this and this sounds really beautiful, but during the PSI, he wasn't taking any accountability for this. So
and the defense tried to head that off with the pass, Bailey. They're like, Your Honor, we do want to make a correction to the PSI. I was like, ooh,
yes.
That's quite the play. It's the retraction play to start out. Oh, we haven't seen this one in a while. Let's see how that works out for him, Coach.
He started off the defense. You're right. The defense started off right away, like trying to butter it up and clear up the record. And then the state came right in, was like, I know what the defense is trying to do, but no. What did the state recommend, by the way? Was it 5 years?
I believe
they were not
so.
in favor of probation. I think I thought it was 6, but either way, I think it was in that ballpark.
Yeah,
but
the max is 8. So
the max was 8. Okay,
yeah,
gotcha. And he ended up with 2. But that I think leads us to where maybe we should go next with this, is what these guys are ending up with, and the fact that I say guys, it's men and women. Mostly men, but a lot more women, it seems, lately. You see in the news.
A lot of teachers.
A lot of teachers.
It seems.
That's a thing.
It's become a thing, yes.
Yeah, apparently.
But is justice being done? I sent you guys the data that I gathered earlier today, and 82% of these cases across the United States are pled out. Only 18% go to trial. And, we've talked about pleas here before and how, is it overused? Is it overdone? My personal opinion is in cases like this, the going to pleas is definitely overdone. And
yes,
I think, but I can see some reasoning for it. I think part of the reason is they're trying to avoid having to put the victim on the stand. I get that to a certain point. But also I think there's a little bit of laziness there, because I think it's an easy plea for them to run to because of the circumstances. This is one of those crimes that people will get all sorts of icky feelings about, and it can be very easy for a jury to pick up those icky feelings and ignore the evidence being put in front of them and just go, he must be guilty. We saw one of those in Judge Boyd's court again a few months back. I forget the guy's name, But he was accused. He was
Hernandez-
accused of doing stuff with his daughter, and I never felt like the evidence pegged him as guilty. But the jury did.
I believe, didn't we go back? Didn't we go back and watch that on the live show? The result
Maybe.
of
I
that.
do a lot of content now, Michael. It's hard to keep track.
I know. You've got.
What had happened was I had watched that. That's like my one trial that sticks to me that really bugged me because I had watched it. I had caught it over the weekend. And
That's right. You and I talked about it, Bailey.
yeah, we had all exchanged emails, and I think it was Texas versus Martinez, and that was totally messed up. And I think you're right. Like I think the jury just kind of is icky, and they just want to get out of here and found him guilty, and that kind of. I was going to bring that up a little later in a different context, but yeah.
But I guess the reason why I brought it up is there's somebody who did try to press his luck. Peter Tamarkin, take it over, but he tried to press his luck, and it
He hit a whammy.
Yeah, he totally hit a whammy. Big time. I mean, so he's probably one, that would have benefited from a plea. But how messed up, I suppose, is that? Because these pleas, the majority of these guys probably are guilty. Yeah. But the pleas are taking these sentences so far down. I mean, this guy got 2 years for what he did. There was another one not online, the guy with his stepchild.
No, we watched that today.
Yeah, and he didn't get that much time, as I recall.
He got 3 years, I believe.
Yeah, it was like
I believe
3.
so. Yep.
Yeah.
And we've watched, and this is, I brought this up in the chat yesterday when we were watching a case in Judge Elmore's court, and this is one where the person was over like at this gas station in Pontiac, Michigan, and selling drugs there, and cocaine and meth and all the, he had a whole pharmacy going. I think as Dan said on the stream, if I remember right. Anyway, he had a whole thing going on, and Judge Elmore wound up sentencing him to 10 to 20 years. Now, the same Judge Elmore, in a case we watched maybe 6-7 weeks ago, there was a case of a guy who had images on his computer of people, not adults, multiple images, and received those online, and that person only received 2 to 10 years. And Judge Elmore really tried to soften the blow on that case, saying, well, I understand that a lot of people are going to think that, this is how it should be. And again, I understood how Judge was reasoning it out, but at the same time, it's the broader conversation of a guy that's selling drugs gets 10 to 20, a guy where there is an actual victim where people are there's no choice involved in predatory stuff, and on the victim's part, they're getting less. It's, as Dan said, it's pure Michigan. Although I would argue that it's pure a lot of places.
Yeah, it's a lot of places.
Unfortunately. But Michigan seems to be kind of the poster child for that. Oh, you did child stuff. Good, great. Here, have a 2-year sentence. Oh, you had an ounce of cocaine. How about life? Oh, just kidding. 25 to life. Okay. Like, what's going on?
No,
I don't get it.
I will say there's going to be a video going up tomorrow on this channel from Judge Anzalone's court, which is in Michigan, in the city of Adrian. And that is another one of these cases. In this case, it is a gentleman who was inappropriate with his biological daughter for a decade.
Oh my God.
And so, but here's the thing: you can say this is going to be even a worse sentence, or maybe more appropriate, but I don't think it is. He ends up, not to give away the video, but he ends up with 5 to 15.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. I don't know, but that feels like a life to me. Yeah, that should be life. Why is it, do you think, that, and this is true across much of the country, there are some exceptions. Florida tends to be tougher, Texas tends to be a little bit tougher, Arizona tends to be a little bit tougher, but why is it that if you assault a child, you seem to get off easier than if you assault an adult?
Yeah, I shouldn't be
Why
like
is that? Because that's what's happening.
I don't get it. Like children have, we craft these laws, and we always talk about children are Whitney Houston, I believe children are our future. They're supposed to be protected. They're supposed to be the most sensitive. Children and the elderly are our most sensitive, our most precious commodity, so to speak. And yet we even have special laws for children and for people over 65. There's elder abuse too, and yet for whatever reason, when those cases seem to come up, rather than being an enhancement to a sentence, it's almost like it's a mitigation to a sentence. Mm-hmm. And I've never, once in a while, there's something where they go, oh no, we're going to put you away for life. But it's almost like, it is almost like a press your luck board. Again, you just never know, and sometimes you stop at 2 years and a spin. And that's, and it's weird. It's really weird. I've never understood that aspect of criminal justice.
No,
especially
in these cases. Go ahead, Ashley.
No, it's good. I was just going to say, especially with the cases that we've been watching, the lasting trauma these kids ultimately have in the long run is, I don't feel like that's right at all. I think it should be even more so. They should be doing more than less. For certain. So, I agree.
I've seen people get tougher sentences for kicking their puppy.
Yeah.
and that's not me joking.
It's funny you say that.
You see these cases of animal abuse, and they're like nailing them to the wall.
It's funny you say that. I watched a Judge Boyd case not all that long ago, where someone was being prosecuted for, I'm trying to remember the exact wording of the statute, but it's like injury to animal non-livestock, which is, depending on the kind of abuse, I think it's abuse of an animal non-livestock. It can be anywhere from a Class B misdemeanor in Texas all the way up to a third-degree felony. Well, he did the third-degree felony thing. He threw a dog over a fence into another yard with like a couple of big dogs in it, and of course the dog got absolutely just shredded, right? So he got charged with a third-degree felony, and I think, and I don't exactly, but he got some time for it. And I think, and again, I love dogs, I love animals, and I think people that do bad things to animals should absolutely do time in prison. So don't misunderstand what I'm saying, but it is weird that we will put someone away for, in Texas, a third-degree felony is 2 to 10 years, but child stuff, maybe 2 years. I don't know. Maybe we'll give you state jail. I don't know. Maybe we'll give you deferred. I think you learned your lesson.
I don't really know what is fair in these kind of situations, because they're all different. But I was kind of pondering about minimum years. Like, would a minimum threshold be appropriate here? And I think in a lot of these cases it would. But I know I'm kind of coming out of left field here. But that's where my mind was kind of going as I look at these cases.
Well, but just a sec. But Ashley, so you're going, you're into psychology, right? So, correct. Or maybe you have studied, maybe you haven't. Maybe this is a deep dive. But okay,
Overruled. Continue, Mike.
But how many? If you look at the psychological profile of these people that do things with children, right? So we know that the chance of rehabilitation is virtually zero. There's been study after study, peer review after peer review. So I kind of wonder why we're bothering with these chintzy sentences on these cases. And I suppose we're almost, wandering into the realm of the political here, but
Right.
I have to wonder why, if this is a basic sociological thing, if this is a basic psychological thing, why are we playing around with it and saying, oh, okay, well, you do your 2 years and you get out, and then I'm sure you won't do it again, even though the stats say the repeat offender rate is like higher for that crime than virtually any other.
Mm-hmm.
So I think a lot of things can be rehabilitated, and that's just not one of them. I think murder, theft, anything else. I think it's, there's hope. As Judge Stevens would say, you can fix this. This is one thing I don't think you can fix. Once whatever that switch is that gets flipped on in your head that allows you to be that kind of person is on, it ain't switched off.
Ashley,
Yeah, there's a lot of.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, Bailey. No, it's okay. No, I was just thinking, because a lot of people, when they do get out of that situation, they are either put on some medicines or, not medicines, but you know what I mean, drugs to prevent them from offending again, that kind of thing. So that's why, I don't know. There's just different, I feel like there are maybe options there, but like I said, not one thing fits all cases. So I don't know how you would, go that route either.
If these people are broken mentally, which I think is what we're talking about now, then how much of the mental health crisis and the fact that we don't have the facilities anymore to deal with it because several presidents made it go away, how much of that is really part of what's contributing to all of this? I mean, we can argue, I can argue at least 1,000 different things that have probably contributed to this, but how big of a piece is that? Is it just part of the overall mental health crisis that these people keep reoffending? And then is it part of the mental health crisis that these DAs think it's a great idea to just give them pleas?
Yeah, and that's the part that gets me. It's do we just sort of accept that? Do we just have this sort of, well, let's just give them a plea, rubber stamp? I mean, or is this something that we supposedly say we take this seriously, but how seriously are we taking this kind of a crime?
This is like one of those things I think that shouldn't have a plea. But there's only a few cases I wouldn't plea on, and this is one that I'm kind of considering because
now, with that having been said, Dan did bring up something in the chat today that there are times, believe it or not, even in these look, we know that there are times where people lie, okay, where maybe not even necessarily the children, but someone else on their behalf, or there's people are forced or compelled to lie.
The children are coached into it.
They're coached, or there's
false accusations. Yeah,
right. Because there's no such thing as 100%, right? There's no. My goodness.
Is that thunder?
That was my thunder. I'm sorry.
Oh man!
I missed
the
that
sweet
right
sound
now.
of thunder. Where have you been?
I got excited for
Where
that.
are you? I stopped. I was like, "That's thunder."
It scared me though. Yeah,
Michael,
So for
tell me about this. I'm like,
for those of you watching, me and Bailey and Michael are in Arizona, where we don't get rain. So when
not
we hear
anymore,
things
I
like,
guess.
when we hear things like thunder, it's like amazing. Anyways,
I know. So I wonder about all that. I guess that's just the bottom line is before Mother Nature just interrupted and said, yeah, we should strike them down. I think that's what Mother Nature was saying. Just hit them with lightning.
I think that
But
was just such
if
pleasure.
people are lying, I will say, I believe in totally a rigorous investigation into these cases. And if it's found that someone lies or coaches or compels people to lie or to fabricate, then those people should be facing the harsh punishment. So, we should have kind of the double-edged sword of this. And if we want to treat this seriously, let's treat it seriously. Let's put the offenders away. Let's throw away the keys, so to speak. But also people that lie, people that, make stuff up, hey, they should face the same kind of consequence.
How would you prove that, though? And that's another issue when it comes to this stuff. Like, you can prove it. You have to have tests for it, and the tests are pretty, like, you have to get it done right away type of thing. But other than that, and any witnesses that might be involved, there's really no way to prove it. And especially when it comes with children, are you really going to put a child? I don't know. It's kind of hard to prove too.
That's a good point, Ashley. How do you prove it? And I think that's part of the problem.
That's the problem.
If we again go back to that Boyd case that Bailey and I were talking about from a couple months ago, where I don't think the evidence pointed to that father behaving badly with his daughter. I really don't.
Yeah.
But, but the jury, because again, this is like an emotional thing, they're believing the child over the adult. And this guy is in prison now.
After they had doubt for, I think, over a day and a half or something of deliberations. They had doubt for a while. They sent
I think
the judge.
They probably had a couple of holdouts that had just ended up caving.
And then they just caved. And it was like, I thought it would be the other way. And I'm like,
I'll say this, don't ever be on a jury with me, because I wouldn't be one of those people in all probability.
Same thing here. But that explains why so many of these guys plea. But then again, the problem, to just kind of circle it back again, the problem is that these plea deals are like nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, so often we've only touched the surface with a couple of cases that we've seen here on the channel. But if you go and you do your research and you look around, these guys that misbehave, especially the online ones, they're regularly ending in like probation, community service, on the registry for a couple of years, stuff like that. It's like nothing at all. But more philosophical, I suppose. But one of the things that popped into my head is this a sign that we just don't value humans as much as we should? Because again, like I brought up, people are getting worse for abuse to animals than they're getting for abuse to children. And that the math on that doesn't work. Now, believe me, I'm an animal lover. String them up if they hurt an animal, but still, humans first.
Yes,
but we're putting humans last, and I'm very confused by that.
Well, Dan, you've gone philosophical, and but
true though.
But it's true. I agree with you. I really wonder. And I mean, it's sidebar, and pretty soon we're going to be off in, philosophy bar or just the bar, but whatever. We're, waxing poetic about it, but I think there's a lot to be. This is such a rabbit hole of a conversation about what are we valuing in society anymore? If it seems like the focus is drugs are worse than violent offenses, and I mean, I think everybody knows. I know we're gonna get a lot of people. Mike, drugs destroy people's lives, and I've watched everyone crumble but the thing about that is that there's a lot of choices involved when you're talking about violent crimes, where there's victims, or when you're talking about exploitation. These exploitative crimes and stuff to children and all that. That is, there's no choice involved. There's no, there is a clear victim or multiple victims at the hands of an individual or multiple individuals. Someone choosing to put cocaine up their nose. I'm sorry. I feel bad. Don't get me wrong. I feel bad that person chose to do, but they went out to seek said dealer to acquire the cocaine. And whether that dealer was there or not, they were going to get the cocaine because they are addicted to it. I mean, that's just how it is. Well, I went into Cosby there. They wanted to get the cocaine, so they go out and they get it. But
Cosby somehow fits this discussion too.
He does, actually.
It's very meta. It's very
They
meta.
get the NyQuil and then they just go to sleep.
What Michael is saying is like harming yourself versus harming others, and I totally get where you're coming from, Michael.
Yeah.
Right, and that's why, I mean, people try to make that argument with DUI. They'll say, well, it's really victimless unless they actually hit somebody.
Yeah.
Well, that's stupid. Okay, that's where you're being reckless, and just because you happen to not kill somebody, that doesn't mean we reward you with, hey man, you drank, you drove home, you didn't hit anything, you didn't even take out a sign, but the cop just happened to see as you pull into the driveway, you win, ding, 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 you don't go to jail. No, that's stupid. That's reckless behavior. You just so happen to be lucky enough and not hit the whammy on that. But I think when there's a victim, I think that's where our system is a little bit off, because we just don't seem to really emphasize the victim. I mean, half of these cases we watch, the victim impact statement is after the sentence, which at that point, if I'm the defendant, I'm sitting there going, why do I give a damn about the victim impact? I don't care if they, because I already didn't care, because that's why I'm here. Right? So why would I sit there and listen? And I know it's not just for the defendant. I realize it's for catharsis and it's for the record and it's all that. But still, it's insane that we're, Dan really takes us down this rabbit hole. Thank you, Dan. Waxing philosophically.
Well,
So
I do what
went-
I can.
I went down the rabbit hole of when I was thinking about this, because Ashley had mentioned earlier, like, minimum punishments, and I was thinking, like, can I come up with a number in my head about, like, how do we punish people like this, And it got me thinking about capital punishment and how there's those who make the argument that, for the most egregious crimes out there, the state can take away your life, and hopefully that prevents this type of crime, like murder, right? Well, you got advocates out there who say it doesn't actually work, right? People are going to
it's not a
commit
deterrent.
these crimes. They're going to commit these crimes no matter what, even if you promise them or tell them, like, hey, the state can actually take away your life. So there's that. And then they also say, well, sometimes the state can get it wrong, and we can be sentencing somebody to death, and we might be wrong about these cases. We kind of touched on that earlier. Like, sometimes people come in and lie about these sorts of things and take away their freedom. So I was kind of looking at it through that kind of lens of, like, okay, what do we want to do? Do we want to, as a society, say this crime is 25 years to life? Like, this is life sentence. This is a 25-year sentence if you do this. But here's the thing. We're going to get it wrong sometimes. And do we really want to send somebody to, for 25 years? I don't know. I don't know the answer. It's not going to reduce the crime. These people are going to still commit these crimes and finding photos and doing that sort of thing. And,
Well, there are sometimes,
because you mentioned catharsis, like, would that make us feel better if every person that went in got? Because I think that case we're talking about, that Texas versus Martinez one, he got a long time because he went to trial. I thought he was going to win. Boom, they sent him in. He did not get no plea deal kind of, years. I think
Didn't he get like 10 or something like that?
It was
I think so.
lot. He's in jail right now for something that and normally I'm the one that's always like, OJ got a fair trial. I believe in the OJ trial. Like, I'm always the one that's always like, I'll agree with the judge. I'll agree with the jury. This case, total BS. And so do we want to send somebody into jail for prison for 25 years?
Well, I think there's
Just because
look,
it's a sensitive crime, and yes, it is a very egregious crime. Don't get me wrong, and I'm all for protecting children. I don't happen to like children, but I'm all for protecting children.
damn kids, but
I
don't do
you know
anything
what I
to
mean?
them.
But that's just me. But I'm all
Yeah,
for we need to have laws on the book that protects children because they're vulnerable. That's why Judge Boyd always says, "I'm not going to let you work around children or elderly." Right?
right.
These are vulnerable people, and they need protections. And I don't know why the punishments are what they are, but here we are.
Well, I think that, obviously, if you put someone away for 25 years, but you have evidence that comes out later that says, hey, didn't do the thing, you can at least let him out.
Yeah.
When you're talking death penalty, we don't have a 15th level cleric to bring them back from the dead. So we're kind of, I'm definitely anti-death penalty. I've been for a long time, and it's not even because of the reasons some people might think it is. This is where you label people. You're soft, Mike. You're soft. You don't. I'm all for, I don't lose sleep if a person that did bad stuff to a child died, I wouldn't lose any sleep over it. I wouldn't shed a tear. But I don't trust necessarily the criminal justice system to 100% make sure that somebody that did something bad worthy of the ultimate punishment, I don't trust that they're going to, get that 100% right. And since they don't, and since it can be abused so easily, and some people might want to, maybe garner their stats by, or buff their stats by, bolster their stats by, having a death penalty conviction. Hey, that's why I'm against it. That Troy Davis case from Georgia many years ago, I think that cemented it. I was already kind of, I used to be very pro death penalty when I was 20 years old. I think we all are. We're like, yeah, screw them all. But
Right.
But now I think ever since about I started to lean against that, maybe 2010, 2011, that Troy Davis case, and then there was some other cases, and I just said no, I'm not for it anymore.
Yeah.
And so there's no magic number, but when people admit to it, when the evidence is clear and convincing, when you've got someone that has, what is that? That Duggar case, one of the Duggar kids that was caught with all the stuff.
Oh, yeah,
Right.
he had like a whole hard drive.
He had a massive, this wasn't like, oh, I got a picture and you can go, well, you never know how that could happen. No, this was like, he had like a terabyte or whatever worth of stuff. And he had been doing this for a while too. This didn't just happen overnight. This was like a long duration thing. That's the kind of person that should do life. That's it. It's over. That's how I view it. That's Judge Groff, I guess. That's in my perfect society. We've all talked about our perfect society before, but that's how I would view it. And would that be a deterrent? Not necessarily, but sometimes things aren't about deterrence. Some things are about punishment. And some things are about this person did something that's so heinous that there is no way that we could ever let them back out in society and they could do anything productive ever again. And that is the top of the heap right there. I like I've said, murder, I think you can even rehabilitate some murderers. Not that. That Duggar dude, that's, he should stay in there.
So
That's really what it comes down to is like, look, we're talking about the Texas legislature. They write the laws, the governor passes the bills, and the judges have to follow
Sure.
the sentencing ranges. And the judge was following the law. She doesn't make it up, and she gave a sentence within the range. And again, I'm one of those people who, I got to go with I don't know what the right answer of how long somebody should be in for the cases that we've been discussing. I don't know the answer, but the judges made their decisions. But I do know this, you're talking about punishment. These people They're going to do their time. They're going to come out as felons. They're going to have to be lifetime registers. Every neighbor on their block is going to know there's the predator's house. There's, and when I was growing up, we always knew which house that was. We always knew that growing up. And so that person is shamed for the rest of their life. And so I'm not saying, oh, poor them, they're shamed for the rest of their life. But they have to explain that on a job application. You're a felon. You've been arrested. Who's going to hire these people? Again, not a pity party over here. So there is a little bit of punishment on the back end of this too, and they got to live with that for the rest of their life. Good luck trying to get an apartment.
Yeah.
Good luck trying to anything. You're
I know
cooked.
Some people say, oh, well, they've done their time and they've paid their debt. But I don't know about that. I mean, if you've ever talked to a victim of that kind of crime, it's with them the rest of their life. Let
me correct that record. I actually made a note about this, notwithstanding the victims of the crime who have to live with this for the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
I know people, and it's sad, I'm sure we all know people who've been victims of this type of family violence, or I've been a victim of it, in fact, growing up. So not family violence, but so I've got the perspective of it too. So I'm not saying not disregard what the lifetime thing that the victims are going through, but again, I'm not making up a number here. I'm not the judge, and thank goodness I'm not the judge. But part of it is these guys have to live with this for the rest of their lives too.
But Bailey, you do bring up one other thing that is a frustrating defense, and that reminds me that I didn't see it necessarily in Judge Boyd's case yesterday, but I think it was in Judge Elmore's court, or one of these where they had a similar one where they're like, oh yeah, he's going to have to register, and that's going to be with him for the rest of his life, and he's going to have a hard time getting a job. And Judge, you can't do this because think about what's going on. I'm like,
right.
You're not. That's not convincing.
I don't agree. Like the judge using that, but it is true. It does affect them for the rest of their lives and everything. But I don't know if I would be doing that at a sentencing hearing, though.
I'm a little offended that came from the judge. One thing from the defense attorney, but
it didn't come from the
giving a sentence. It's like you don't really need to explain. You said the quiet part out loud in my opinion.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like a defense attorney that should make that zealous argument, and that was going to be my argument for this guy. This was going to be the surprising thing. Was the attorney spent way too much time about this guy's health issues. I would have focused on, look, he's going to be shamed because he's going to be at home. He's been living in the same property this entire time. His wife is going to take care of him. He's going to be stuck at home. Every single person on his block that he's been living on forever knows now that's the dude. Don't go over there. He's going to have to show his face, and it's going to be shameful. And he screw his medical issues. I'm not really worried about that, but do your time. Then when you get home, good luck with life, and everyone's going to know on your block that you're the dude that did something. And because I've gotten those pamphlets, I don't know about you guys, I get them here in Arizona. It's like, hey, there's a predator in your area, level 1, level 2, level 3. There's a photo, there's a little brief description of like what they did and like their address. And I'm like, oh yeah, this guy lives like 6 blocks away from me. Like, okay, all right. I mean, so everyone's going to get notice that this guy's a predator.
Yeah.
So I would have focused on that. But we all know Judge Boyd. She already had her mind made up.
She was
not spending time behind jail.
Right.
Now, 2 years? I don't know. That's up to her. She made.
But his joints hurt.
That's what made him do it.
I mean, he ran out of joint-ritis. I mean, he had to run out and stop at the pharmacy, but the school was between there and the pharmacy or whatever.
And then he actually told the cops at the scene, I was coming here to tell her not to talk to predators online.
Listen, that is the oldest. Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, you are so delusional. So Dan, to go to your point, like there's something a little off with these people.
I could young lady, let me tell you something. This is not safe.
Yeah,
I'm sure
so
that's
I got
exactly
my car
what's
with
gonna-
my arthritis. I drove
Yes.
to your house to tell you this when I could have just texted you and said, you shouldn't be talking to older
So
people.
the top two defenses that these online people will use, one of them is, yeah, I was going there to warn her. or I was going
That's
there
what they're
to,
calling it nowadays.
to tell the parents. And the other common defense is, well, I was only online to mentor her.
Oh God, yeah. All
The
right.
mentoring one's a huge one.
I found that's ridiculous.
You think? Yeah. Well, I'm
Denial.
sure you.
There's
I'm
some-
sure you believe, Ashley, that every young woman needs a mentor like that in their lives.
And they
Yeah,
always
really.
bring pizza.
Well, Chris, would
And
you like a
beer.
slice? He actually offered me a slice. I think we all remember that case.
That was classic.
Oh God.
I tell you, I mean, I learned a lot. And here's the crazy part. Do we always think it's the scuzzy, sleazy, greasy dude or the old Herbert guy? So whoever can swallow the most Tylenol RPM wins. It's not that. It can be a doctor. It could be a lawyer. It could be a person could even, I'm just going to spitball here and say it could even be someone in like the Catholic Church, for example. It could be. Probably would never be, but I'm just saying it could be. It could be anybody. But what I'm saying is that there's a stereotype and there's not, this isn't a one size fit. It's not like you can just spot them. Although sometimes you see them in court and you go, oh yeah, that for sure is a guy. Like you're like, oh, okay,
Right.
yeah, I get it. Yeah. Handlebar mustache. Got it.
Yeah, again, I had exposure to a lot of this through this other guy, and you're right. It's like it can be pretty much anybody. It crosses all walks of life. This particular guy, he caught a state politician. I think it was in Virginia once. He's caught several fire chiefs. That's like a thing.
What?
Yeah.
Several.
Yeah, like 5 or 6.
Oh my
Across the
God.
country, fire chiefs.
That's odd.
Yeah,
That's weird.
which is really odd.
Not
but-
just fire, but like the chief, like the
chief,
you
yeah.
work your way.
Yep.
Several.
It's a mentality thing.
That's a
It's
very specific thing.
It is.
Yeah.
But the demographics, there really aren't any other than it's people that are broken, obviously. And
Clearly.
so often there's like a physical ailment as well.
Yeah.
They're either like professionals, like these guys, like the politician or the fire chief or something like that, or it's
Well, and
It's
they're
people
married a
that
lot
are
of the
broken.
times too.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
that's
I-
a whole other discussion that we don't have time for. But what's going on? In that marriage, are these people taking care of each other? Which again, if somebody's got this propensity already to go down this bad road, is their spouse tuned in enough to keep them from going there? Because, and I'm not trying to make excuses, so don't think that, but we all have things that we have to overcome. And often
Yeah.
we need help in overcoming those things. And the people who have this propensity need probably the most help, and they're probably the least likely to get it. Because they're probably hiding. If they have a spouse that understands what's going on, they're probably
usually
too
don't.
embarrassed by it to help.
Right.
Yeah.
And we definitely don't have the healthcare system anymore on the mental health side to do anything. So then these
Well, honey,
people
I
end up
wanna-
in court, and they end
Honey,
up in court.
I want to
and they
drive
take these no
to
deals.
I want to drive to the kids' house. No. Why don't we just do some puzzles here on the? Why don't we just stay home and play some PlayStation or something? I don't know how you'd approach that subject. Like, how does
Yeah.
that? What?
Well,
Does
there
it come
are
up?
everything we cover here. There are no easy answers.
Yeah,
Nope.
there's
And
not.
Here's yet another one. What have we solved this evening? Absolutely nothing.
No.
Okay.
But that's not the mission here, is it? It's just to talk it out and try to
Correct.
maybe have some understanding of it. But honestly, this is a subject matter that I've been looking into for a couple of years now, and I have probably less answers than when I started.
Yeah.
But I have frustrations, and how these cases are handled in comparison to other cases. And Michael, I think you're aligned with me on this one, at least for sure, is how these cases are handled in comparison to other cases. Just this does not make sense to me.
It doesn't.
I don't understand it.
You know,
But
I joke around a lot about it. And, you know, I have some laughs here, but I think it's more out of just I don't really know how we're going to solve it, and it's for me it's just a coping mechanism because it's such a deep, dark part of society, and I don't know what to do.
Well, here's an idea that just popped into my head. Maybe we can debate this for a couple of seconds before we call it a night. What are they doing with Epstein Island these days? Can we just banish them there?
I mean,
I'm pretty sure that's sitting empty.
Yeah, you know, maybe that we could just Predator Island.
There's a good synergy to that.
I think I'm sure there is. The Fox
sure
network would probably have a lot of fun with
Disney
that.
Would pick up a network and pick up a show. Yeah,
Disney.
Predator Island. Disney would definitely.
Oh, that's a TLC show all day long.
Tonight on the Family Channel, Predator Island.
Family. Hallmark. That needs to go on Hallmark.
Right after Sam and Cat. Like what? Oh my goodness.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
So let's end this serious discussion with laughter. That's a good thing.
It is. That's
Bailey,
what I
any
try to
final
do.
thoughts?
Don't pick up any cases out there, folks.
Especially this one.
Yeah.
You.
It's one of the worst cases you can ever pick up. Don't do it.
You'll end up getting covered on this channel for sure.
Yeah, you might get exactly. You might get covered on Sidebar. So don't pick up any cases.
No, Michael.
Don't theft by snatching. I think is another case you definitely don't want to pick up.
That's a thing now.
That is. That's a weird. It's a weird thing that's become like really prominent on this channel of late.
What is that, by the way? Anyways, it's like, give me that. Is that?
Yeah, it's like the old purse snatching. Look over there. It's like just somebody runs by and just grabs it and runs away. I guess that's weird.
It is. Well, maybe we'll talk about that on Thursday.
Why not?
Ashley, final word to you.
I don't have any answers. This is still rolling around in my mind. It's still going to confuddle me until who knows when. But at least we hashed it out and we talked about it. And so, yeah, everyone be safe out
Indeed.
there.
There you go. All right, we'll be live again on this channel tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific, a half an hour earlier for channel members. Please do join us then, along with all of our other lovely content. A big thank you to Ashley and Bailey and Michael. By the way, this program was never my idea. It was their idea. This is a community-based concept, and I'm happy to do it with them because this is the best community out of all of them. And I'm not just saying that because it's the one I run. I truly believe that these people are wonderful. So thanks so much, guys. We'll see you again for this show on Thursday. And in the meantime, check out our other stuff. Take care. God bless.
Yeah.